Where were you born?
In Poland, Nashelsk, Poland, in 1916.
And how did you come to be in Hamilton?
My father preceded us by 2 years. We came in 1923. He came here in 1921. Not to Hamilton. He came to Toronto. In Toronto, we had relatives there. My late mother's brother, Mr. Steinhaus, he lived there. So he went to Toronto. My father in Poland was a craftsman. He was a carpenter. He tried that here in Canada. He got a job with a renovator. And at that time, when you renovated a building, the walls were real, not cement, plaster. Now it's plasterboard. He couldn't stand the plaster. He couldn't breathe. So he gave that up, became a fruit peddler. A big promotion.
And came to Hamilton. So where did you grow up?
I grew up in Nashelsk. I came here, I was 7 years old when I came here.
Okay, so after that, what street did you live on?
The first street was not Gregg Street. It was in the north end, the northwest end. We came to Canada, and we stayed at my aunt's place for a while. She lived on Gregg Street, and then we moved to a street over, and from there we kept moving. From there we went to Hess Street. And then every time the rent raised, we moved to another place. From Hess Street, we went to Napier Street. And from Napier Street, my parents bought a house on George Street. And they stayed there. And I think I was already married when they moved to George Street, but Paul was still there, and my younger brother, we had a younger brother named Benny. Benny was in the Air Force. He was a pilot. And then we had an older brother named Max, and an older sister named Rose. Rose was married to a gentleman named Wolfson, Sam Wolfson. What else you want to know?
Were you in the Army?
I was in the Air Force.
In the Air Force in World War II?
In World War II, yeah.
So
I was born in World War I.
Right. So you were in the Air Force.
But I didn't fly. I was in administration.
How many Jewish Hamiltonians were in the Air Force or the Army in the World War II?
I think there were about, I don't remember, there were 1,600 or 16,000, which would be, we were about 10% of the Jewish population in the service.
Hamilton Jews?
Not just Hamilton Jews, all over Canada. In Hamilton, I don't know what there would have been, maybe a couple of hundred altogether.
So can you name some people who were served in the Air Force or the Armed Forces at that time?
Yeah. In the Maccabees, there was David Goldberg, who was a flight commander. He was an officer. My brother Benny. Morris Smerlick was in the Air Force. Goldie Goldberg, I think, was in the Air Force. I don't know of many more.
So what was this Maccabee? Was this
Maccabees is a name we chose. When the first Jewish Legion was started after World War I, but it didn't get anywhere. In 1945, Saul Feldman, the late Saul Feldman, came out of the service, and he started our branch. And it didn't go very well, and he was almost ready to quit, but he was persuaded to stick it out. And eventually, we didn't get all the servicemen that were in Hamilton. We only got a very few. I don't remember what the ultimate, the highest member, I think it was probably around 60. Now, I left Hamilton. I joined in 1945, but in 1964 I moved to Toronto for business reasons. And I came back after my wife died, brought her back, buried her here. And I came back in 1990, rejoined. When I was in Toronto, I joined the what was called the Jewish Veterans. They were not part of the Legion. They were just members who had been in service. They're not necessarily all in Canada, but all Jews that were in service and lived in Toronto. And I came back here, I rejoined in 1990. And I inherited, the reason I'm where I am is I wasn't elected to these jobs. I inherited them. As each person passed away, I became a secretary, I became a treasurer, and then when Morris... Now, during the Poppy campaign, we had from Queen Street west to city limits, our branch, and it was divided up in three. David Wright, he's still alive, he's in Shalom Village, he had the most western part. Al Cohn, who is already gone, he had the central part. Morris Smirlick had the eastern of the western part, right? That was three. When Morris died, I did that part. When David got sick, I did his part. And when Al got sick, I did his part. So that's my whole area.
So when you say, that's like during the poppy campaign, you
During the campaign,
you
yeah.
go where? Where do you go to sell poppies?
Well, first we have to distribute poppies. We put it into certain retail stores and to all the schools in the West End, right? Okay. Then we have permission to stand in Fortino's, now the one out west and the one on Dundurn, and any place we want to put them in, but in our area, right? That's how we do it. But we don't have very many Maccabees actually that do the work. Goldie's not a member. There's Morley Balinson. He has a couple of kids working, not kids, men, young men working for him. And I have, Len Miller has come in. He's not a member, but he's a veteran. He comes in, he helps, and myself.
And what is this, is the Maccabee, what does it mean? Is it just a bunch of Jewish servicemen? Is that what it is?
Maccabees is a name we chose from the Bible.
Right, I know the name, but what does it refer to today? Like, what are you just a legion? Are you just a group, a club? What?
We're part of the Royal Canadian Legion. Otherwise, we couldn't sell poppies.
So, but when you actually served, you weren't part of a group called Maccabee.
No.
You
We served in the armed forces,
Yeah.
the different branches.
And then you came together after and created a club.
The Hamilton, not a club, formed a legion,
A legion.
a branch of the Legion.
What's a legion?
Royal Canadian Legion consists of servicemen that have banded into a large organization. Royal Canadian Legion is all over Canada.
So you are a chapter in the Royal Canadian Legion?
Well, not a chapter, a branch.
A branch. And, okay, so...
Now, they've tried to get us to merge because we're so few left now. We've got 17 members left. And I keep saying, no, we want to retain a Jewish legion in the city as long as we can. And I keep fighting.
So you have 17 members in Hamilton.
That's it.
Who are they?
Who are they?
Yeah.
All of them?
Well, yeah.
Well, I don't have to.
Oh, here.
I don't have to. I can read this while I put on my eyes. Okay. Morley Balinson, Gordy Goldberg, who is living in Shalom Village, Sigmund Goldberg, David Hoffman, Kurt Krakauer, Jack Krieger, Norm Levitt, Dr. Shapiro, Julie Spiegel, who lives out in, where does he live now? I forget what the...
It's okay, keep going.
Jackson Street West. No, that's not Julie, that's Vinegar. Anyway, I think in Cambridge, it doesn't matter. Joe Vinegar lives near here. David Wright, who's in Shalom Village. Dr. Adrian Yaffe, he's still alive. And me. And then we have Edith Feldman as a member, as an associate member. Then I have two ladies who are fraternal members. There's Arlene Cohn, or whatever, and Sylvia Cohen.
And are you the president?
I am everything. I told you I inherited all the jobs.
Right. So where does the money that you raise, where does it go?
It goes to various charities. And I'm not going to give you the names
Why?
because we give to some that aren't supposed to get money from the Legion.
Why not?
Well, for instance, I give to a lot of Jewish causes and Israeli causes. And I don't
You're not
want
allowed to get?
I'm not allowed to do that. We're only supposed to help local people.
Local meaning Hamilton or Canada?
No, anybody in Canada that's a veteran, we're supposed to help them.
But,
But we don't have any Jews that need help. But Israel does. So we give to various Israeli colleges. But
and local Jewish, don't you give to local Jewish organizations?
I give to the food bank. I can mention we give a considerable amount of money to the food bank, and we give to Namat. We give to Hadassah. Can't mention them.
Okay. So,
But all you have to say is various worthy causes. I call it the 4 H's: the hungry, the homeless, the helpless, and the hopeless.
so what about Goldie? How did Goldie get?
Goldie is a widow of a veteran. Her late husband was a veteran.
So she's out there selling poppies.
She is terrific. She's one terrific lady. She's so aggressive. She doesn't let anybody go by. She stands in Fortinos most of the time. Won't let them go by without buying a poppy. I said, you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to stand silently, and people will come to you. She doesn't wait. If they walk by, you haven't got your poppy yet. Get your poppy.
It's good though. That's how you sell.
You're right.
Yeah.
She raises a lot of money.
Yeah. So, are you still in touch with your fellow vets? I mean, do you have meetings? Do you get together?
We have we used to have regular meetings, but it wasn't worthwhile. Not too many showed up. So we have one meeting. We have a dinner meeting in June, sometime in June every year. Sometimes it's July, and that's when we all get together. And we have I don't know whether I was the one who started. I don't think so. Even the widows of the late members, they're always invited to, and it's a no charge because we still have money in the treasury.
Where do you go for dinner?
The last dinner we went to temple, not the temple. I call it St. Joe's, but it's not. The conservative shul, Beth Jacob.
It's my shul.
Yeah, that's right. We were there the last time. We had a nice dinner.
A catered dinner.
Not a theater dinner.
A catered dinner.
A catered dinner. Yeah, she catered there. That woman.
Christina.
Yeah, Christina. Right. And they charged me $150 for the hall, but it wasn't a hall. We had it out in the
foyer.
In the foyer. Yeah, which was great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was okay.
I hope you'll come there again.
Probably.
Do you know Marvin Goldblatt?
I know of him.
He was in the army.
I know he was in the army.
Not for very long, from what I heard.
Yeah. I think, speaking of Marvin, I think it was Marvin Goldblatt. Norm Levitt got a hold of him one day. He wanted him to make a donation to the Maccabees, and I told him he didn't have to. We don't need any donations. Anyway, he got $50 out of him, so I sent him a letter of. You know who gave me a nice donation? Was he does that quite often. Sigmund Goldberg sent me a donation of $118 for the Poppy Fund because he wants to help but he can't, and he did it in honor of his late wife and his late mother. So I sent him a nice letter thanking him.
So the Poppy campaign is in November, is that right?
Yeah, usually the last Friday in October till the 10th of November.
And And besides the poppy campaign, is there any other activities you do throughout the year?
Not anymore.
What about in the past?
In the past, we used to go on parades, not as a single chapter or like a chapter, like a single branch. It would be all the branches in Hamilton would be on a parade. Well, we used to parade on the Remembrance Day from the armories up to the cenotaph, and then we'd be discharged after. But we don't do that anymore. We're all old people now.
So you were in the Air Force?
Yeah, I told you I was in the Air
Did you see
Force.
any combat?
No combat.
Oh, you were administrative.
I served in the Maritimes only.
So you didn't go overseas?
Yarmouth, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, and Labrador. And then, at that time, we were supposed to go out west because they had planned on attacking Japan, but it never happened. The war was over. It was blinking. Is that all right?
It's telling me it's going to die soon. It's all right. Tell me about what was it like to be a Jew in the army in those days?
Not very nice. Some of them.
What was going on?
Well, I had several unhappy instances of these guys, these so-called Christians, get drunk and they accost you. We're fighting to save you Jews from Hitler. And I would say to them, the condition you were in, you couldn't even save yourself, no satisfaction. But there were some. But usually the people I worked with in the where I was stationed, we were stationed. The main station was Yarmouth, Nova Scotia. Out of Yarmouth, we flew these huge. We called the Castle was the name of the plane. It was an amphibious plane. It could land on the water, and that they would go out the Atlantic Ocean for 8 hours and come back for 8 hours. 16 hours that they're out there, and the boys that I worked with. Now there were a few Jews on the base. We didn't have any trouble there. It was only when they got drunk that it's like what's his name? Gibson gets drunk, and this crazy what's his name? The Richard that called the nigger word.
Yeah.
They say they do it because they're drunk. Well, when you're drunk, that's when the real truth comes out.
Right. I know Kurt Krakauer.
Kurt Krakauer, yeah.
Do you know him?
He's one of the members.
He's fantastic.
Nice guy, yeah.
Have you read it? He wrote his memoirs. Did you ever read his memoirs?
No.
What a life he's led.
Uh-huh.
He fought with the like a Czechoslovakian brigade.
Yeah, I know.
In World War II, yeah.
Yeah, well, he's member of the Allies. Yeah, he's a nice guy. Very polite, very humble fellow.
Yeah.
He always thanks me for inviting him.
Yeah.
I says, no thanks. I says, you're a member.
So when's your next dinner?
June.
You're going to have it at the Beth Jacob again?
Probably. Either that or Shalom Village.
Wow.
The reason we're going, we used to have it pretty well every time at the Chinese place out in Burlington, the Mandarin Inn. David Hoffman is religious and kosher, so he wanted to quit. He says, I'm not going to belong anymore unless we have it at a Jewish place. So because of him, we went there. It costs more money, but what the heck? It's only money.
Anyway, Gloria's been talking about you for years and telling us about
Her 90-year-old father.
who keeps making these very generous donations to Naamat. So it's really nice to meet you.
I have a donation ready to give to Gloria now, $500.
That's what I heard.
Did you?
Yeah, word gets out. Thank you. So that's great.
Well, we raised over $20,000 this year. This has been the best year we've ever had in the history of our campaign.
Why is that?
Had a lot of people working. Borley Balinson himself raised over $6,000. That's with he's got two fellows working with him.
Really?
And they work in areas where it's not our area, like down Food Basics on Barton Street, and some. I think there's a liquor, or at least a beer store down there. That's where they've taken a lot of money.
Do you have any competition there? You have to kind
No. There's no competition. If you're caught starting your campaign before the date, they cut you off. And if you're caught in somebody else's territory, they can abscond with your box of poppies and the money in it. So you got to be very careful. Anyway, there's so much territory.
Did you ever get in a fight with somebody that you were in their territory?
No fights. If somebody, for instance, McMaster Hospital,
Yeah.
Pearl Cohn looks after that. Al Cohn used to.
Right.
So she does it. So one time somebody got a call from McMaster University, and they sent a man down there to sell poppies. So when I found out about it, I called him up. I says, "Why are you down there?" He says, "You know that we do the West End." He says, "Well, they called for it." I says, "That's no excuse. You tell them. If they called me, you tell them it belongs to the Maccabees."